So the government says I'm responsible for this catastrophe. I'll get more into that in a bit. But I thought I'd show you around what's going on around here. Obviously it snowed last night. It was kind of surprising. I came down at 7 o'clock, put the chickens away, and then by 8 o'clock it was completely covered. And the temperature never got below freezing all night long. So it just kind of steadily snowed all night. Well, now it's kind of melting off. But boy, it sure is. I don't know if cloudy is the right word. I don't think it's cloudy. I think it's foggy. I'm not sure what that is. But man, we're not going to get any charge. So you may have heard the generator running. Days like this, it's kind of a good idea with lead acid batteries to top them off. Batteries, long story, I've talked about this a lot. As a matter of fact, you go to my playlist and on my channel, you go down, say solar panels. And I talk about batteries quite a bit. I'm big into lead acid batteries. I like them a lot. Lead acid batteries kind of tend to drop down using solar panels after a while. After they charge, then the voltage comes down to like 12.9. And then after about another week, then it'll drop down to 12.8 and then 12.7. Take a generator with a battery charger and rejuvenate that battery a little bit. It'll bring it back up to 12.9, so it's always topped off. So days like this, it's really good to do that. A little maintenance, it's all it is. It's just maintenance, like everything else. Everything requires maintenance. I'm sure with lithium ion, there's some sort of maintenance you got to do with them. I don't know. But solar panels are covered up. One of the nice things about having solar panels on the ground, one, they stay cooler in the summer, I've noticed, because that ground helps cool them off a little bit. But then you can sweep them off easy in the winter. I probably won't have to today. It's so cloudy, I won't even rely on them that much. And it's going to melt here pretty shortly anyway. So our electric use here is very minuscule. We run a refrigerator, a tablet for YouTube, and it's a Windows tablet is what it is, 2 cell phones, and a couple fans. Only 1 fan in the summer, 2 fans in the winter, sometimes 3, because I got to heat up that water tank. I pump hot air from the house into that tank. And then I have the well pump that I run the generator. Well, I can use solar panels, but I run the generator half hour every 5 days to fill that tank back up. So my electric use is just so minuscule, which makes it easy for me to run off lead acid batteries and 10 solar panels and a couple generators every now and then. Now the thing that is strange about that is, as you know, the elitist, I'm not going to say their names and all that, but the elitist, they want us to live in the cities. As a matter of fact, I just heard in a video the other day, Oregon's trying to break up cities into small, so is Britain, I think, into small 3-mile circles. And you have to stay in that 3-mile circle, and everything you need is in that 3-mile circle. And you get to leave that 3-mile circle like 100 times a year with your car, but everything else you have to be on a bicycle. You can't use a car. If you want to go to the grocery store, bicycle. They're trying to reduce the effects of the environment by making everybody live in these tight-knit communities. I don't understand what my problem is. Why is it that I have to go live in a city to do that when I'm already using very little electricity? I try to live a minimalistic life. That's why we live in a tiny house. Everything we do is minimized. We have some chickens, so we don't have to go out to the grocery store and buy food. We have solar panels, so we don't have to use coal. And no matter what anybody says, coal is still used for electric in every city I can research. So, they want to get away from coal, but it just doesn't seem logical. So they say wind and solar and wind and solar. Well, I can tell you, solar isn't going to give you that much electricity, and wind isn't either. I mean, it's not windy here, and it's not sunny. So what does that mean? The entire country would have to shut down, or this entire area would have to shut down because we have no wind or solar right this minute. It's a great day. I mean, it's beautiful, but not going to make any electricity. So what do you do? If we didn't have the generator, we wouldn't have any electric. The generator's running off gasoline. The other one runs off propane. But if you're going to eliminate coal or gas or whatever it is that these electric companies have to use, these power plants, then we just have to shut down. Of course, a lot of people say nuclear power, but I don't know if that's ever going to fly. There's just too many people that are against nuclear power. I'm a big fan of it, but of course I come from a nuclear submarine, the USS Georgia, back in the 90s, and I feel like it's pretty safe. And if you got a bunch of sailors taking care of a nuclear reactor, surely, you know, we could have college educated people doing it too. I don't know, it's just, it doesn't seem that dangerous to me. What about the nuclear waste? I get it, so nothing I can do to convince anybody. Another thing we do is we use wood heat. We only use firewood that somebody else cut down. So they had a nuisance tree in their backyard and they needed to get it cut down or it was going to fall down and bust up their house. Somebody puts an ad on Facebook Marketplace and I go get it. So we have 15 years of firewood just by doing that. So we didn't use any living trees on our property. I say living, that's not entirely true. We had some sick trees. Trees that grow together, you get two trees and they kind of fork off and you have one stump, two trees. Those are, I call them twins. I don't know what they're actually called, but I've noticed growing up on Grandma's farm that one of those trees would always die. So I had 2 or 3 of them that I cut one side down. And then the other side I left to live a happy life with just good forest management. And then I picked up a lot of dead trees around here. There was an old walnut back there. That made for a good year last year because it was dry firewood. Walnut dries pretty quick. Now, of course, you have to understand that the EPA doesn't like wood burning stoves. Neither does most of the European countries. My understanding, like Ireland's trying to get rid of them. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's not true, but Oregon, Washington, California have all kinds of restrictions on them. Oregon has, I think, more restrictions than the EPA has on them. 2014, they really came down on wood stoves. I've got a lot of videos on this. And they had to be EPA friendly. And every year they have to improve upon the efficiencies of these wood stoves. Mine's only 2 or 3 years old and it's already obsolete. The company changed their name and everything and had to redo their entire wood stove production or something. And mine is 85% efficient. So they're trying to run these companies out of business, and they did. They ran a lot of companies out of business when they first made the changes. We run the wood stove, but also we live in a tiny house. So I don't hardly use any firewood. I mean, just little sticks. I've showed you videos that not even bigger than the diameter of my arm without the coat on. Now, of course, I try to run the wood stove as efficiently as possible. Only use dry firewood, 20% or less. Most of my firewood in this year is 15%. And I think that's the problem, and I said that in these videos that I talked about. I'll link one of those videos on the up next box at the end of this video. As that way you can learn how to use them, because I think that's important. Because gas prices are going through the roof. And many of these cities like Oregon and California, they are no longer allowing gas cook stoves or gas heaters, natural gas heaters, in new construction homes. I think in New Jersey, they're requiring that companies and buildings and all kinds of places get rid of their heating oil furnaces and replace it with electric. I don't know. In my mind, electric is not the solution, but if you don't know anything about solar panels, I suppose a lot of people are going to say, oh no, solar is the future. It's not yet. I mean, there's no way. I'm not producing anything today. I haven't run that generator. So it's not the future. This can't be the solution. If people would run their wood stoves efficiently, maybe they would leave us alone. I don't know. People in the comment section completely disagreed with that assessment, but it's at least a start. Now, my truck, that's the one that's most frustrating. I mean, I hauled all this firewood with a 4-cylinder. It's a 2015 Chevy Colorado. And 4-cylinders today are more like 6-cylinders back in the 90s. I mean, this thing's a powerhouse. It really is. This one was Motor Trend Truck of the Year in 2015. I really like this truck. It does have a lot of power. That being said, it's 4-cylinder and it gets like 26 miles a gallon. Of course, they want us to buy electric cars. I think in 2030, California said that they're requiring that everybody buy electric cars, or all new cars have to be electric or something like that. Now, what's interesting is I read an article, there's many states, several states, that said that they will follow, by law, California's requirements. So that means when California switches over to this, these other states are going to have to follow suit. I don't understand why they would do that, but that's what they did. I don't know. I'm just guessing. New York, Illinois. Sounds like something they would do. But how am I going to get an electric car? I don't see it working for me. You know, the nearest town is 30 miles away. It's a 60-mile round trip. And I would have to charge off solar panels. That means I got to get more solar panels. I wouldn't be able to do it. It would not be financially feasible for me. First of all, I don't even think I could afford an electric car. I live out here deliberately so I don't have to make a lot of money. But what do they want me to do? Make a lot of money. Then I'd have to buy an electric truck, and I'm sure those are just way out of my price range. There's just no way I could do it. That means all I can ever do is have used cars, if I'm even allowed to buy them. Missouri's not going to force me to sell my truck or anything in my lifetime. I wouldn't think that's the case. So what they're saying is I got to get rid of my 4-cylinder because I've been trying to be environmentally sound with my 4-cylinder, carrying all this firewood and all the materials for building the house and everything with a little 4-cylinder, and that's not good enough for them. They're just trying to shut us down. They don't want us to exist anymore. And they only want the elitist to survive. And I don't know, 500 million others, that's all they want. And those 500 million are going to be the little worker bees taking care of the elitist. One of those countries in the Middle East is building this huge tunnel building. I mean, it's like miles long. And they're going to pack everybody into it. I think it's already under construction. Now, it would make sense that that is the experiment. Are they going to take it into more industrialized countries? I don't know, but I just can't see me moving off this property. You know, people say, fight, 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 fight. I'm not the type that's going to fight. I'm not going to fight. But I'm not going to leave here. I mean, they will have to carry me off before I leave. I don't think I'm hurting anything. My little 1.5 acres with my chickens and my solar panels, my little 4-cylinder truck, my little tiny house, I'm not hurting anything. And it's hypocritical of them to say that I'm hurting things when they are driving around in their SUVs, flying their jets, their private jets all over the country, telling me that I'm harming the environment. I'm not a big environmentalist, never have been, but I think I do more to protect the environment than anybody who says they're trying to protect the environment. So, if you'll click this up next box to take you to that video I was talking about the wood stove. So if I can inspire you to get off the grid so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.